It's Radio Zero with Rick and Rose, Friday, March 3rd, 3323. Did you remember when it was 1223? It was 123 also, and there was one. It was like 3223. That was yesterday.
It's also been 3 weeks since we've done the podcast.
Oh,
we skipped a week. Sorry about that because we were too busy. But apparently we were too busy again this week. But I'll complain about that in a minute. Subscribe to the podcast. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. You can go to radiozero.us. We're live streaming on Facebook on the Radio Zero page and Poster Children page, on Twitch at PCJCUSA, and on the Poster Children YouTube channel. Well, we broke our string of every other week at 4 p.m. Central on Friday. Had to reschedule to this week and then had to reschedule to 5 p.m. Central. But hopefully in 2 weeks we'll be back at 4 p.m. Central. We'll see. You can patronize us at patreon.com/Radio Zero. Thank you to all of our patrons. If you're listening on Friday, it's Bandcamp Friday. You can go to the Poster Children store on Bandcamp, store.posterchildren.com. And we've got Rose's book is available up there. Flower Plower reissue, double vinyl set. Other stuff, Grand Bargain, our record from 2018. Daisy Chain Reaction reissue, remaster. Jay Ryan posters from 2016 tour.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking we should bring the Jay Ryan posters with us to the book events.
Oh, yeah, we could do that.
Yeah, because they're so pretty.
And speaking of that, Rose is got a couple of book events this weekend. So if you're listening in the present and not the future, Rose will be at Exile on Main Street in Champaign on Saturday, March 4th at 2 p.m.
Central Time. I'll be signing autographs, signing books. I'll be talking about my very important book. Book, me. I'm so important.
And on Sunday, March 5th, 4:30 p.m. at Waiting Room Records in Normal, Illinois. So
I'm on a book tour, just so you all know.
And just to do more promotion, Poster Children, we have some shows coming up, too, that I can talk about that are confirmed and have been publicized. Well, are confirmed.
Yeah.
Playing in Minneapolis with the band Houston, the Minneapolis Houston, March 31st, Friday, March 31st at the Ice House.
The show is at 10 p.m., right?
Yeah.
We know that, right?
It's not the dinner piano show that's also scheduled that day.
Is there really a dinner piano show?
Yeah, but
cool.
it's during dinner time, and then later there is a show with Poster Children in Houston. Yes.
Come back to D.C. I want to. I'd come back to D.C.
in Minneapolis. And then we are playing Champaign.
May 6th. Sorry.
Yes, May 6th.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, go ahead.
No, go on, because you have the information there.
I believe it's called the Toasted Taylor Street Downtown Block Party. More details forthcoming. Yes, there will be other shows. Thank you for saying you you want us to come to your show in your town. But that needs to be feasible for us to do.
You have to pay us.
Well, no, yeah. I mean, we have to have a show. We have to be able to get there. And so that's the way it is. That's rock and roll.
Yeah.
In the 21st century.
But I would like to come back to D.C. That would be fun. Maybe I'll just go there, Danny, and be in D.C. So we got Dannon says happy Friday. Larry says it's okay, probably that we missed last Friday. And Danny says come back to D.C. And Larry says I dine while listening to Poster Children all the time. And live would be better, though. It would be louder. It would be much louder. Well, thanks for listening. No.
Yeah, so last week, I don't know, there was a whole bunch of stuff going on.
What was going on? I don't even know.
The younger child is on tech on a show, and there was like having to get him to shows, tech rehearsals, and then You had stuff. I think I had maybe I didn't have stuff. But yeah, so we postponed, but then today we were supposed to start at 4, but then the show that our youngest is doing tech for, they rescheduled we were planning he was going in at 5:30, and so
they were going to have a show. They were going to have a show tonight.
So 5:30 call time, and then 7 o'clock show time, and then so I said, okay, we'll schedule 4 p.m. for Radio Zero, and then of course yesterday we were told.
No, today.
No,
yesterday.
No.
Oh, right. I'm sorry.
Yesterday we were told. So this is me talking about scheduling. Don't gloss over what happened. There are a lot of things that happened. Please, let me speak. Let me speak.
I understand.
Don't gloss over these.
Calendar Rick.
This.
Yeah. It's very important. Hi, Conan.
So I scheduled very carefully 4 p.m. Have time. Do Radio Zero. Then drive.
I had a committee meeting before that.
Yeah.
Remember?
One of us could then drive the child to their 5:30 call time. But yesterday evening, we were told that, no, it's going to be 4:30 call time. So, once again, rescheduling. So I rescheduled Radio Zero to 5 p.m. And then this afternoon it snowed. And we were told that there will be no show. So then, instead of me rescheduling Radio Zero for a third time, I did not. But now, of course, there are 2 shows tomorrow. And I am going to have to bring the child to the show. And that means that I am not going to be able to drive to Champaign for Rose's book.
That's okay. I'll talk about you. We could just drop him at the friend's house that lives across the street, and he could go with them.
Yeah, I guess.
But no, that's fine.
This theater life. I mean,
about.
This theater life. It was just so crazy. It's
driving
me
him,
crazy.
We should have him come talk, because he's texting on. This is like a little 13-year-old boy texting on the family WhatsApp. Well, another. What did it like? It's like 3 people have
had panic attacks.
had panic attacks.
And then the next day it was like, first panic attack of the rehearsal.
And somebody threw up or something too, right? I can't remember.
Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff going on.
Somebody smells like poo.
So apparently there's drama. In
the drama club.
Yes. So
at the junior high school, I think that's man. I would and remember we were like, well, what's the play? Is it Peter Pan? What's the play? Is it Hamilton? And it's a musical.
It's a review. Yeah. It's
so
just a
people
bunch
are just singing songs.
Yeah.
And they still can't. I would think that would mean who's having the panic attack?
That would stress me out.
Just singing songs.
I don't feel like I'm a song and dance man. I think if I was in junior high and had to do a musical performance
in front of people.
Yeah, I'd
Conan
have a
says hi. Cody B says hey, and Larry is saying, "Oh, the life of a parent. I feel for you guys. I don't care. I'll just roll with the punches. I'm sorry you won't be able to come to my book talk tomorrow. I'm sure people are going to ask, where's Rick?
Only one person needs to be concerned about schedules, I guess. You're right. You just roll with it. That's fine.
Do.
No, totally fine. Totally fine. As long as there's one person who cares.
Poor Rick.
That's all that matters. You only need one person driving the car. Everybody else is a passenger.
Cody says, I really love your show, for real. A nice thing to look forward to on a Friday. Good.
For real. No, I mean it. Honestly.
Don't make fun of
This is the way it happened. I swear to God. I swear to God, this is the truth.
Now I've done it. I can't find.
I'm not making fun of a specific thing. I'm just making fun of the.
You were specifically making fun of me though for not being so concerned about schedules before. Oh, he says for reals.
That's better. See, that's the Gen X way of saying it. So you're saying it. It's from the heart, but it's a little bit of sarcasm. Is he a Gen Xer though? I don't know.
Are you a Gen Xer,
but
Cody?
That's what I'm saying. Is you say for reals, so it's like you're saying something positive and genuine, but you're adding a little twist to it, so it's not 100% earnest, right?
Can I talk about what I did yesterday?
And again, I'm not being critical. I'm saying that's the way things are done.
You're being critical of me, though. Gen X. Okay, he's Gen X. Checks out. Okay, so yesterday I went in front of like students and talked about myself, which I don't usually like. If I'm going to talk about myself, I'm going to talk about something that I think is useful for them. And this was, talking like, here, you got to learn this computer programming stuff.
So yeah. Whereas
this was like me
you
being
were
invited.
in a music business class, and
right.
you were talking about your time.
Cody says
in
I
a
hate
band.
this show.
It was really good until the host started attacking me.
Now you've proven. Well, now you sound like a millennial. No, that's terrible. Now we've lost a fan. I'm not saying that you're a fan. You're listening. Anyway, can I complain about? So I'm talking. I was invited to talk in the music business class. It's 3 crying laughs from Cody. And I'm like, okay, what am I gonna like? Well, first I was like, oh, this will be great. It'll be like practice for me, doing a book talk, right? Because I feel very weird about doing a book talk. But thank goodness I'm gonna have people talking to me about the book, so that's good. But this was just me, like, sometimes you go in this music business class, and either you can have a prepared speech, or you can be like Ian MacKay and just like people just ask you questions and you can just talk, but. And you went in the music business class and did the same thing too, but you were probably a lot more coherent than I was.
I don't think so.
That makes me feel better.
It was definitely old man rambling.
Yeah, that's what I was like, old man rambling, old man shouting at clouds. I was just like, well, I don't know. I was on a major label for a while. You know what? Here, wait. Let me show you guys our videos so you know what I'm talking about. Like I played like a couple of videos. And they were just like this. Like, I'm going to stare into the, like...
Horrified.
Like, yeah, like they'd never, like, oh, I don't like that. And one kid, like, I don't know, they were laughing and stuff. And, and then you're like, okay, well, what famous people did we open? Because that's the only thing anybody ever wants to hear is like, how close to a famous person did you ever get? So that's why I got the Public Enemy story.
That's the currency of the realm.
So I've got the Public Enemy story just waiting I'm just like, okay, everybody looks like they hate me now. We played with Public Enemy, and those people hated us even more than you guys do right now. So, I told the Public Enemy story, but I'm remembering now. You know how, like, you remember, like, you go back over your day and you go, wow, you know what? Somebody told a joke in my class, and the joke was, why do I have to pay for this or something? Like, and then you're like, oh, wow, maybe I should have done something about that. Like, you go over your day and you're like, oh, I forgot I kicked somebody, So I was going over my day yesterday, and I realized that there was a kid just with his head down on his desk sitting in front of me while I was talking. It was like when you put your head down for nap time. That I was talking and this kid had their head down on the desk in front of me.
Why does that have to be about you though? Why is that?
No, because it's not. But I was standing right. It's like when people used to smoke right in front of you, and they were watching you, but you'd be singing and breathing in the cigarette smoke and I mean, not that there's anything. Well, there's kind of something wrong with it, but this is like right in front of me. I'm not saying that he was doing it to upset me. I
didn't say that.
Yeah, okay. I'm just saying that, like...
If you had been more engaging, he would have lifted his head up.
Well, if you're sitting, like closer than I am sitting to you right now, you're sitting like a foot away from somebody.
That is not front row behavior.
Yeah.
If you're going to
go lay in the back. Exactly.
That's back row. That's back row behavior.
Exactly.
Well,
I was just going over and I was just like thinking, wow, this kid had his head down. Like, was he sick? Was I like boring him so badly that he had... It's not like it was a class full of 300 people. It was a class full of like 12 people. There were like 12 people in the room. One person had their head down. It was just like, Jesus Christ, when is she going to stop talking? Oh, is there an echo, Conan? He just wrote echo.
Really?
God damn it. And somebody thumbs up it. I give up. Are you guys sitting with your heads down now too? Like, yeah, oh yeah, everybody. Yeah, Dan says, yeah, yep. And Larry says he's hearing it too. That's because we're in a big room. Maybe that's, well, can you fix it?
I thought I did.
Is it fixed? It'll take a while for the fix to propagate. You sound like you're in a bathroom or something. Kind of cool. It's just
Great.
started suddenly, and it's very
Oh.
max headroom.
It's
fixed. Chris
It's
Walker said,
fixed.
now it's
Okay.
fixed. What'd you do?
doesn't make sense. I don't even want to say.
Did you click on inbox? Is that what you did?
Don't get me started.
Go.
That was another
Old
thing that
man
happened to
yelling
me
at
today.
clouds. Go ahead. What happened to everybody? Probably something
Well, I
went
don't know.
wrong with your
I
inbox.
Yeah, it's like first off, the plague of Microsoft Office 365 that I have to I mean, I don't have to, but I kind of have to if I want to be involved in anything at this university, right?
Yeah.
I need to use Office and Outlook. Yeah, like I open up an email now in Outlook, and my habit is to open up an email, look at it, and then if I'm done with it, I don't usually use the next button. I hit inbox again to close the email and go on to and look at the next thing in my inbox. But as of today, that doesn't work anymore, and I've hit the inbox button 300 times today, at least, probably per hour, and then I have to go back, and then I have to hit close on my email, and then I tested it in Firefox, and it doesn't happen in Firefox, so it's obviously just some kind of Chrome incompatibility. But I don't want to switch back over to Firefox
So
because I
wait.
already switched back to Chrome. I mean, how many times can I switch back and forth in my life?
Wait. So the browser. I mean, like
something's
you have,
going on with Outlook and Chrome right now, I think.
Well,
I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. Yes, I did try turning it off and on again.
No. What I'm asking is like if your inbox is already loaded, but every time you refresh, that would refresh the coding on the page, like the JavaScript, because it didn't used to.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I've been having these moments where it's like, okay, that's it. It's over with me and technology. I'm an old man who can't use it anymore, and it definitely happened to me on multiple ways today. So there was that issue, but that was before that. I this morning I was going to a Zoom meeting.
Oh, you
Actually, I thought it was a webinar.
You
So
gonna
I thought
tell
it was
people?
a webinar.
Oh, my
Yeah,
God.
and
All
I got and I open up my Mac. So I have my university computer is a Mac. I open up my laptop, and it's doing an update. Like
and you were supposed to be on
that's like
Zoom
the
right
one
then.
reason
That you have a Mac.
I have a Mac.
Yeah.
Is that I'm never going to open it up with the intent of doing something, and it is not saying to me, wait for
Microsoft.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
Updating 15 minutes. And it was like I was so angry. And so I'm fumbling, and I get on the Zoom on my phone, right?
And I heard a commotion in the other room. I was scared. What the hell's going on?
I am already incompetent on Zoom on the phone interface. I have no idea. Like there are times when at the end of a meeting, I am like poking around trying to leave it, and people are going, "Rick, the meeting's over." And I'm like poking, trying to find a way to get out of the thing. And it's like, "Oh, look at the chat." And it's like, I can't. There's no chat. It's like Zoom on the phone is a nightmare for me. And then I knocked over my water bottle onto my computer.
Oh.
And it was not open, the water bottle, on the computer that was updating, and I yelled You
yelled motherfucker. And I was like, what the hell? I heard all this commotion. I ran into the room, and at that
not
point,
something I usually say.
I know, but at that point, you're going, calm down, just calm down. You're telling me to calm down. I'm like, what the hell?
No, that was earlier. I was mad about the fact that the computer was updating. That's when you freaked out. You heard me rah, 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 in the other room, and you were like, oh my God, I got to call the ambulance.
Yeah,
it's like I'm just like grousing about my computer up. Like, why the hell is this up? The other event that was after that, and then I'm like, and then I look at my Zoom, and it's like in a movie, and I look at the little screen with my head. No video. I turned off my video. But then the little microphone does not have the red slash through it. And I'm pretty sure that in a meeting, so I thought it was a webinar, right? Usually webinar, you go in, you're muted automatically, right? I think I yelled
Motherfucker. Yeah.
really loud in the middle of the Zoom.
And was being recorded too?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it's
that's cool.
been
What
recorded.
was
and
the
then
meeting?
I walked into the room and told Rose, and I was like, I'm just gonna go jump out a 10-story building. I'll be back later.
He comes in.
You can come pick me up.
Completely different demeanor. You're like, I think I just yelled motherfucker. I think the microphone was on. And then you were going, is a webinar? Can they hear you in a webinar? I'm like, no, they can't hear you in a webinar. No problem. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. Then I follow you back into the room, and he goes, I think I did it. I think I did it. It's off now. And then the guy was saying, just so you know,
Yeah, right then the guy
came back
on the
in.
webinar is saying, just so you know, we are recording this, and
So any comments that
you make in the chat or
with your microphone open will be recorded, just so you all know he said that.
oh man.
And I had a full day ahead. I'm like, oh my God, how upset is Rick going to be about this? But I'm glad that you're. And then I was thinking about that a little bit. And then I was also like, oh, I wonder who I could tell about this and have a good laugh with it. Could I tell Jody? I wonder, And then I was like, I didn't tell anybody. I didn't think. I'm glad that you're over it. 'Cause I was trying to think, what story?
I'm not over it. I'm sure people know who said it. Some people know because that's what I do.
Rick is a swearer.
When I'm on a Zoom and then all of a sudden there's a person, you just start hearing,
Or you
just
see
all these noises.
You see a tit,
yeah,
or an ass, or something.
That I haven't had that happen, but it always that person winds up popping up at the top of the the gallery, right? Whatever mic was open. So it's pretty. I think there are at least a few people who are like, okay, he's that guy.
He swears.
He's-
But what
boy,
meeting was it?
He's got a temper on him.
Yeah. What meeting was it?
I don't want to talk about that.
Man.
So it's just been a bad day. I found out I forgot to back up some code from 4 years ago, and now I'm having to rebuild it.
Okay, you know what? I spent 2 hours looking for an email in Microshit Outlook. 2 hours looking for something that I did, I don't know, in the last 4 months that I sent. Conan says this is deeply hilarious to me, and this is why I have a hardware mute button on the headset. Yeah, smart. I spent 2 hours looking for a really important email, and I was like, God damn it! And so I had to open up the actual app of Microsoft Outlook, whatever, on my Mac, and I'm going through. It loads 780 email messages, and then I'm clicking on the filters because there are a couple of different places where you can do a filter, but they just don't work at all. And I couldn't find it, and then I was looking through paper, because the other directors print stuff out, and I'm like, God damn it, this is why I should print stuff out. Here I'm I'm going to save trees. I'm not going to print anything out. That way I'll be able to find stuff. And I couldn't find it, and I was talking to other people who can't find stuff. I've got 100 folders in my email, but where you put stuff, how do you know exactly what folder to put stuff in? And I couldn't find it. And then I was like, God damn it. And I was thinking, fuck Microsoft. I'm just going to use Google. And then I was like, God, yeah, that happens to me every so often. And I went on my Google Drive and I typed 2 words in, and the came right up. It was it wasn't even a second. It was oh, this is what you were looking for. So it was sometime in the last 4 months, I decided not to use Microsoft. That was the day.
So, and when you said it took you 2 hours, you meant 2 minutes, right?
No, 2 fucking hours. That's why I shouldn't be our director. It took me 2 hours to find an email. And I was talking to other people too. I mean, how, and everybody else I talked to was yeah, it takes me 2 hours to find stuff too, except for Rick, who's well, I don't have that problem.
I didn't say that. In fact, I said, yeah, it's it's a problem.
Of course you did, because you're like, oh, I don't want Rose to feel bad in front of other people. But it's I don't know. I have like some of my folders have got like 2 emails from like 2018 in them. It's like, oh, I better make a folder about this, and then I never use it again. What do you do about that? That's what the search function is for.
Yeah, no, and I feel like the search on Outlook is bad.
It's terrible. All right. So what do we have to talk about? I just saw like a great interview. Like our older child just sent a great. He sent a tweet, and I'm trying to learn. There's this thing called Twitter now. I'm trying to learn it.
I love it because it's Elon Musk. He's such a wonderful man, and his Twitter is so wonderful.
So I went on that's another thing too. The Tesla's fixed. That's good. I went on.
Thanks,
I
Elon.
clicked on it, and it's Jon Stewart talking to some Republican asshole who like wants to ban drag shows, but doesn't want to ban or doesn't want to do any kind of gun registration or something like that. So he has like it's pretty entertaining. It's like a 10-minute little video of Jon Stewart like just like running rings around this guy, like, checkmating him or checking him like with chess talking for a good 10 minutes. This was interesting. And the guy didn't get up and walk out either. He just sat there. Maybe he was a plant. Did you watch that?
No.
All right, so what's going on in politics?
I don't know.
So, okay, my sister asked me this. Is it bad that Lori Lightfoot has lost the bid to become mayor next for Chicago?
I guess that kind of, you'd have to say it in context. I think it's probably better for her in terms of her health.
Yeah. Yeah, I just wrote back to my sister that women don't get a second term.
That's right.
It's true.
Only if they're pregnant.
Oh, we got a good one. Okay, Ben, let's see. I'm going to read this without reading it. I'm just going to read it out loud. Could be worse. During lockdown, we had a Zoom retirement party for a colleague. Our new program manager, who hadn't worked with any of us in person, accidentally shared his full screen, and we saw all his disparaging comments about the retiree and someone else. He was replaced quickly after. Oh, yeah. See, that's like when you did this, I was like going through my catalog of things that like when I die on my deathbed, I'm going to regret. Like the things that I've said. God, I can't believe I said that, and I was like, well, which one should I give to Rick? Which one should I tell him that I'm really embarrassed that I said, like something terrible that I did, but I didn't give you any because I decided they probably wouldn't make you feel any better.
Oh no, I've got a whole list of them.
Things that I said, asshole. Things put that on my bill, in my tab. Put that on the tab.
The bank.
Put that you can take that to the bank. All right, is it time for the that 70s show segment?
What does that mean? Oh, Columbo?
No, just like you and the 13-year-old just sit and watch 70s shows and 60s shows.
Because there is a show called That 70s
I
Show
know,
that I never
watched. About that. Yeah.
Because it
Media
didn't look
review.
like the 70s. It was very lazy set design and costume design, I felt. Just seeing the commercials, I was angry.
Yeah, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about media review with Rick Valentin. Since you're not going to talk about politics anymore.
There's a lot of stuff going on. I guess,
We need to have Don Gerard on our show because he's running for mayor again.
Oh, we're doing political endorsements now, huh?
Maybe not. Okay, go on. What were you going to say? Because I just interrupted you.
Lab leak?
Oh, yeah, there you go. All right, let's do that.
No, we don't have to. That was last week.
On.
That was lab leak was last week, wasn't it? Or 3 days ago?
What do you mean by lab leak? Why don't you do some music?
Just somebody changed their mind about the possibility that it could be a lab leak.
The virus.
Yeah.
The virus. The COVID.
The best thing I heard was like people who are talking about the jump, the animal, the jump from animals, saying that despite the fact that theory or hypothesis has a certain level of racism in it, which is that those Chinese people have disgusting food markets, you know. It's like, and I was like, oh yeah,
They eat
yeah,
bats.
that's right. I was like, oh yeah, but it did upset me that, again, thinking about the fact that there, and the other good point is that we probably should be talking about how people research infectious diseases, and like, why would you be doing that in fact
In a city.
in a city like Wuhan, even if it wasn't a lab leak? It's just kind of like, shouldn't you be on a mountaintop somewhere in a remote lab or in Antarctica? I know that's also that's a bad science fiction film too, right? You know,
It's a free market, Rick.
it's a free market. That too.
The scientists
Frickin'
are not
free
going to want
market.
to live on a mountain somewhere.
That was the worst thing. Yeah, political thing I heard was the woman pastor who was complaining about getting kicked out of, what is it, the Southern Baptist Conference? I can't remember what
yeah,
it was.
that was good. Yeah.
And she, was like, well, is this the reporter was like, is this evidence of like how, the increasing conservatism or the conservatism of that group? And she was like, well, no, we're really conservative already. And we were a really conservative church, and I think this is about power.
She was a pastor for like 40 years or something, some insane amount of years. And now she's been deposed.
Deposed, right, for being a woman, basically. And,
Yeah,
and then it's
not
like,
basically,
and then
for being a woman.
not even making the connection, even in this situation where it's like, no, I think you don't understand what being a conservative is. In this environment, it's exactly, and that is power, and that is why it's happening. Your belief system has turned around and bit you in the ass, has marginalized you now as a woman. You've been marginalized.
They've come for me, and there was no one to help.
And no
They
enlightenment
came for
there.
the Jews.
No,
I didn't speak.
No epiphany whatsoever. That drove me crazy. Where it's like, oh shit, okay, wait a minute, but that makes perfect sense. It's like,
Yeah.
riding the rocket to hell.
Wow, I like snorted with my nose shut. Okay, what else you got? Oh, wait a minute. Wait, okay. Ben says, I watched a very odd Brian De Palma comedy called Get to Know Your Rabbit, and the other night on my friend's Psychotronic movie stream.
That's like an early film, right?
Yeah, maybe, I don't know.
They talk about it in the documentary, right? There's the De Palma documentary, which is really interesting. Or at least it was interesting to me. Interesting to some people. It would be interesting to some people where they go through all his movies.
1970.
Yeah.
Says,
Yeah, he talks about that in the movie. But I
so
can't remember.
You're okay with Brian De Palma?
No, I'm not okay with Brian
I
De
didn't
Palma.
think so. Okay. So how was your dental appointment?
It was refreshing. It was like the dentist was like an old-fashioned dentist.
That's why I liked it. So
by
you got to meet
old-fashioned, it was just meant like this.
Old.
Well, he wasn't that old. Probably my age, right? Is what I'm assuming.
Maybe.
Yeah, but it was like, and just like, mildly chatty, but not super chatty, and just like, how you doing? What do you do? Yeah, okay, your teeth look good. We're gonna have to pull them out if something goes wrong, but if not, it was just, it was fine.
We have a new dentist because our dental insurance got cut off from our old dentist.
Yeah, they did ask me why. It was just conversational with the hygienist, but it was like, why are you new here in town? It's like, no.
Well, what
wanted
are we
to know.
to do?
Yeah, wanted to know what, like.
Oh yeah.
Oh, is there something wrong with you?
Yeah,
like
right.
Why would you change dentists 12 years after moving here?
Yeah.
Well, that dentist, I'm suing my other dentist.
Yeah, I know.
They looked at me funny, but no, it was insurance.
And you told them that?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't let them think I was a psychotic dental patient that bounces from doctor to doctor once a year.
By the way, can you prescribe drugs for me?
That's right.
Yeah.
My teeth really, really hurt. Is there anything you could give me to help me with my tooth pain? This, really hurts.
Didn't you say they're not doing that anymore? They're like, you told me at some point, like,
it's like
last month.
Now that we're getting old, the model for pain now has changed, which is basically just fucking deal with it.
No. Is that because for us or for just everybody?
Everybody. But the thing is now we're going to be old and in pain, and now our generation is going to have to just live with pain as opposed to getting hopped up on goofballs, you know?
Well, the goofballs are not good for people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Young people.
Oh, that reminded me. I was really excited to take an Advil today. I was going to take an Advil. When I wake up, my whole body hurts so bad. It hurts. That, like, I'm wondering, starting to think, like, maybe I shouldn't be in this much pain all the time. But if I take an Advil or a couple of Advils, it stops hurting.
That sounds like a weakling talking.
Yeah, that's what I think too. Okay, here we've
got
got
to not be in pain is to not, no pain, no gain. How could you determine the fact? How would you be able to tell if you weren't succeeding or working hard without the pain? I mean, that's a direct result of how hard you're working.
No, I think it's how hard I'm working to take the cancer medication. Larry says, Indiana just passed a law allowing material in schools removed that, can endanger children. Basically book banning. Another reason
paper
why...
cuts. I mean, I've gotten a really freaking bad paper cut from a book.
Another reason why I hate Indiana. In Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is basically my Bible now, the thing that I go back to make myself feel good and give me meaning in life. Do you remember the part where where the guy has to give himself paper cuts?
I don't.
Oh, you need to see it again.
I don't need to see it again.
Really? You think you don't need to see it again?
I don't think I do.
Because it's playing like at the Virginia. But you're not going to be in Champaign tomorrow.
I'm not.
Okay, so... well, Larry, I mean, that was what Jon Stewart was saying to this guy too. He's like, so you want to regulate, like, what was it? He doesn't want. It's not trans. What is it? When
Gender
drag shows, I think,
drag
shows
yeah.
or something like that. You want to make sure that kids can't see, because what is the danger to a child if they see a drag show, as compared to what is the danger to a child if there are more guns.
I mean, I remember being traumatized by seeing, Bugs Bunny in a dress when I was a child.
Well, I mean, you want Bugs Bunny to be naked? There have been all kinds of. So is that like a new thing that they don't?
Drag was like, I feel like
it was on MASH.
It's actually gotten a little. Yeah, it's gotten a little less weird. I feel like when we were younger, I guess that's the problem, right? Is it was
everywhere back when we were
but
young.
it was considered, I don't know, it is strange because there were like fucking Flip Wilson, man. See, I'm losing it. I'm swearing everywhere. I need to get myself together. You
need to go to church.
But that's all.
You should go to church.
So when was Flip Wilson's show on? It was like in 1970, 71, and so that was I believe, straight African-American man on a hit TV show. And he'd dress up as a woman all the time. He had a female character. And I remember that being my favorite show, Flip Wilson. And that's not all he did.
Well,
I mean, it was
it
was a variety show.
Yeah.
And it was like, there was I think I understood that it was...
And you didn't turn out gay.
Well, I understood it was a performance. So that's the thing to me, drag shows are not actually representative of any kind of necessarily representative sexuality.
You know what? This
right?
is
or gender.
They have a word for this. It's a dog whistle, right?
Yeah,
whistle.
I mean, it's something extreme where it's like, oh yeah, I don't want my kids seeing.
Your kid's gonna see a man in a dress and he's gonna turn gay.
Yeah, and they're making a connection.
Yeah,
whereas when I was a kid, it was, and I feel like now still like drag shows, they don't feel like they're making any kind of profound statement. They feel like I guess they are, but I mean, they're always, it was, I don't know, it was around and I didn't find it upsetting, and I didn't think anyone else found it upsetting. It's like the stuff about like Flip Wilson 50 years ago doing a female dressed up in drag in a comedy show, or like
Hey.
Monty Python.
Okay. What do you think would happen if you were gay? Would you be able to tell your parents? And would your parents have been upset?
You mean when I was a kid?
Yeah, maybe.
No, my parents were great.
Yeah.
I think they did a very good job of from that age and generation. Yeah, they were good about it. I always tell you about that. My mom explaining the character in Little Big Man, which is now
Oh,
just
what did she?
totally,
What did,
totally out of line. But at the time, it was like, what's that all about? The guy, who wants to be a
lady
doesn't-
Indian.
yeah, doesn't want to be a warrior and everything like that. And my mom said, yeah, some men don't want to, do man things. She didn't say, and didn't like turn off the TV or anything. She just said, oh yeah, no, they're.
I kind of feel like our kids learned about gay people through Scott Pilgrim. Maybe at least our younger one.
I mean, so that's the argument here, and I think it is actually a valid argument in that these nut jobs are worried that if you let the media culture, if people are exposed, children are exposed to this, they are more open and accepting, right? And they learn that there are different.
I don't know. I know. I actually think that
I'm not saying
they're worried it's going to turn their kids gay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not open their minds.
But what I'm saying is it is effective. Culture is effective, and the movies and the songs and the TV shows and the performances at your school, they do, and the books, they do affect people. But to me, that's good, So they're right in that. Yeah, I mean, if you want to squash anybody sort of looking outside of their narrow worldview, yeah, you squash the arts. That's exactly right. They're exactly
you've said that
right.
really eloquently in a lot of interviews.
Yeah.
Larry says here that I will bet those same people that are against drag probably laughed at those along with those old shows featuring men dressed as women. They did.
Yeah, and I guess the problem is that at that time there were like you did not talk about people being gay, or it was very, very it was a very tenuous thing at that time still, like people.
Yeah, people were
being
still in the
open
closet.
and out.
And
it was very
but you
much.
You could dress trans, I guess, huh?
Well, yeah, but as long as it wasn't real, right? That was the thing. Is like if somebody in their day-to-day life, right? That's the thing. That's not what's going on here. That's not what's happening with a drag performance. It's a performance, right?
Well, it might be connected more to liberalism or whatever. So Conan says Scott Pilgrim really pushed a lot of things into the mainstream, and also says it would be nice for somebody like John Cleese to be more vocal about drag. Big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've lost John Cleese.
How did we lose him?
Oh, he's got the old comedian problem.
Oh, not again. Another one gone.
Another one. No, yeah. It's not.
Listen, if you don't think it's funny.
It's not if you're racist. It's when you will become racist, right? It's just an age thing. It's like at some point you're going to age out of mainstream culture or just cultural. Yeah, the bar is going to change. Culture is going to move on, and you're not going to be funny anymore. You're not going to your ideas, even if they were progressive 50 years ago, are no longer progressive. Or and it just happens as you get older. And I feel like I'm trying to be vigilant about myself.
Conan's saying he's almost exclusively cancel culture, and then Larry's saying John Lithgow dressed in drag in the world according to Garp, and suddenly popped in his mind.
Yeah, so that was and so what was going on and so I do remember my mom not wanting to see the world according to Garp because she had said something about the books. John Irving, she wasn't 100% on his feminist values. I do remember vaguely something about that where it's like not an author, and yeah. So the world according to Garp is, but anyways, regardless, the world according to Garp, yeah. So that was what was going on though too. I mean, so that there was a lot of intensity around that, right? So, people changing genders, gender reassignment, all of that in the 70s was hugely controversial and
there's
freaking
more
people out.
Okay,
So
there's
but now it's like, well, that's still freaking people out, but then now drag is somehow a problem
all right.
also.
Okay, Ben Nimi says, hopefully I pronounced your name right, Ben. RuPaul quote to live by quote: "We're all born naked, and the rest is drag."
And
so
RuPaul was a punk rocker, a musician, so
Dog Day Afternoon, Conan says, and Danny
Day
says,
Afternoon,
Danny says there was a time in the 70s when Rocky Horror was all the rage. My
Yeah.
kids still love it. Conan is saying that there would be more weight if John Lithgow said something, or not John Lithgow, sorry, John Cleese said something. And so, there's also, back in the 70s, you didn't have this, you weren't able to, like, little kids couldn't take the puberty blockers and stuff like that. And I think that freaks some parents out. And I don't think that our pediatrician, I'm going to go back to the pediatrician again. I don't think that he is like, a crazy conservative right-wing asshole. I really never got that feeling from him. I mean, he was all about, trying to give our kids pills, right, for ADHD and stuff. Like, so he seemed kind of progressive, seemed like a good guy. But, when one of our kids was asking him about, like, just had a question about puberty blockers, was not wanting to take them, and he was like, no, I know you're not like that. I don't want to, I don't want to go down that path with you. And, our oldest kid was like horrified, And and he's, like, I came back that day. I'm sure there's a Radio Zero about this too. I came back that day, and the pediatrician was saying that he's not even allowed to say anything. And maybe he is a right-wing lunatic. I don't know. But he's not allowed to say anything. If a kid says they want puberty blockers, then he has to just give them to him. And so he wanted to, or he was against some kind of some regulation that we have here in Illinois.
Yeah. And I just remembering I was there. I was the one who brought our kid to that appointment, and they sent me out of the room to talk, and I was like, what the hell? And then it was like, and then afterwards I was like, and when I heard about it, it's like, why are you asking that doctor about this stuff? And then why did you send me out of the room? And why are you telling me now? And that to me is the problem. It was just like, this is not the person you should be talking to about this, especially if it's not even something. Yeah. But maybe this was all a ruse because they were actually talking about something else.
Oh, yeah, maybe they were talking about,
I don't think so,
drugs or penises or something. Larry says John Lithgow also dressed in drag in Brian De Palma's Raising Cain. And you get so excited about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know how to get him to laugh.
Yeah, John Lithgow. And I'm thinking, yeah, he's not dressed up as a woman in Blowout though. No, he's just
that's
crazy.
a Brian De Palma.
Yeah.
I forgot. Some of that stuff is like in the 1990s part of my brain or something. That was like, like just standing in front of that class and just trying to figure out what to tell them, that because 3/5 of the stuff that you say in a classroom, they're going to hear anyway. Like, so they don't, like, when you speak a sentence, they only hear like 3/5 of the words, and there may not even be consecutive words. So you might say, hey, don't close that door. And they won't hear the word don't. And so they'll close the door. Like, that's my experience in a classroom right now. It's not, I don't know if that was 3/5.
It was.
Yeah,
1/5 they missed.
Yeah, well,
so that was pretty good. They were paying attention.
Okay. Oh, Danny says, as the father of a trans kid, this hits close to home. Oh, yeah. See, we should have you talking on here. It used to be that I only worried about bullies in school. Now I have to worry about bullies in the state legislature. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing is a lot of this is bullying, I think. It's just people kind of belligerently forcing their worldview and using their power or perceived power to force what they want. But I don't know how we're going to fix any of this. That's my problem. Again, now I'm just going to get sad.
Okay. All right. Why don't we talk about something that'll make you happy?
Okay, what is that?
What did you watch on TV yesterday?
I was I've been working my way through Columbo episodes just because of Poker Face, because I was watching Poker Face and like, wow, this feels very Columbo, like everyone does. But then actually rewatching all those Columbos, it's like, wow, it's a little more than just an homage. There's a lot of cribbing going on.
I have been very tired lately. Poker Face is so great, very Columbo, you probably wanted to say.
So there's an episode with Robert Culp with the phone recording recordings and everything like that has almost the exact kind of thing that happens in the barbecue train episode of Poker Face. When I watched it, I was like, that's like half the Columbos is like a tape recording, or a recording and then hearing something or not hearing something, and then I just watched the episode. So the second Robert Culp episode, there are actually two in the first two seasons. Robert Culp shows up. A lot of people show up multiple times.
I've been very, very tired lately, especially like at night. And so I was half asleep while you were watching TV last night. But what I remember, I was not talking about you watching Columbo. I was talking about you watching Green Acres, and what I think happened, I don't know if I was dreaming, but what I think was happening in the Green Acres episode that you and the child were watching was that one of their eggs was laying square eggs.
Chickens was laying
square eggs, and their toaster would work if you said the word 5.
Yeah.
You'd have to say 5, and then the toaster would press down, and then you'd say 5 again, and the toaster would work. And that was the most fucked up, surreal thing I've ever heard of in my life.
That's what I remember
Green
about
Acres.
Green Acres as being super surreal, like really crazy. But they kind of copped out at the end.
Was it a dream?
It was a dream. I was really upset.
That's what really I was sure it would be a dream.
Because usually it's not. It's just weird like that, and it's just weird. But I guess it was too weird.
Yeah. And they were like, is it a Model 5 toaster? Yeah, no, it's a Model 3. Maybe somebody had that dream. Maybe one of the writers had that dream, and they were like, let's just do that.
It's definitely like 1966, 67. So I think there was a lot of acid rolling around.
That's what I was at. Yeah, was it acid? So it was an acid thing.
And then, that was why I brought the younger down to watch. The previous episode of Green Acres had Leonard from Community. I wanted him to see that actor. Younger, I can't remember his name, but he was in like Twilight Zone episodes, and showed up on an episode of Green Acres, and then the episode before that had Bernie Capel from Love Boat and Get Smart.
Larry says he watched the movie Sick on Peacock the other day. It is a horror movie that centers around the COVID epidemic. It has some pretty funny moments in it as well, but it's a horror movie. Don't do this to me. Like oh man, what? And I won't watch the other the thing that the Mandalorian is in. The Last of Us. What's it called? I won't. I don't know. All this death makes me sad. Dannon says I was surprised to learn a few years ago that the very first episode of Columbo was directed
by Steven Spielberg. Yeah. There's that crazy ass zoom at the beginning. Yeah. So there's the Night Gallery. I think he did the Night Gallery episode before that. Yeah, so there's a Night Gallery episode. Is that the one with Joan Crawford? I can't remember the Steven Spielberg Night Gallery episode, and then he did Columbo. Yeah. A lot of, and actually the Steven Spielberg Columbo, there's a lot of shadows. Like the lighting is like he's trying to do a lot of crazy shit, but like they like you wind up seeing shadows of of like the crane and stuff or the rig. Like
Really?
it's he's trying to do
Wow.
too much
Oh, yeah.
on a TV show kind of set. And things are like, I don't know. I was noticing it was kind of frayed at the edges, but there was a visual. Yeah, there was, but there's a lot of crazy ass visual stuff going on in all the Columbo episodes. It's almost like, yeah, everybody was really working hard. There's a lot. Yeah, the Robert Culp one is there's so much Zoom stuff going on. Actually, in the earlier Robert Culp episode too has got like a I feel like it's like a 5-minute sequence that's all in his sunglasses. And it's like projected, like he's imagining he's going through his mental process about the crime, and it's just projected on his face, on his glasses, and you see his face. You saw that.
Did I? Okay. Did they did it in Poker Face too, I think.
Yeah, there was something
Yeah. Every time when I watch that show, I'm like, and I see something interesting, I know, I feel like everything is a reference to Columbo, right? So it is kind of weird. Okay, so Larry's been reminded that The Mandalorian is back. I'm glad to remind you. Yeah, I was. We'll close this out.
Oh, thank God! Watching that first episode of the 3rd season of Mandalorian, thank God they took some notes from Andor and have learned how to not end an episodic
I think
TV show.
We talked about this like that night or the next morning. They have 8 hours of show, and they're not gonna.
They're just chopping it up in equal parts.
That's right. Yeah, you made me.
And that's wrong.
Yeah.
That's actually lazy.
It's lazy writing.
It is lazy writing. I'm sorry.
Larry says, I always love Green Acres. How the mentality of the townsfolk slowly drives Oliver to madness.
Sometimes not slowly. Yeah.
So. All right, so not to change tracks because we only have a couple of minutes, but I got so geeked out, like in my class, my computer programming class. So check this out. I was just doing I teach this like, okay, you go like, you're going to increment X. We have like cases, like we're using a switch statement. So there's case 0, case 1, case 2, and then you go back around again, case 0, case 1, case 2, right? There's a variable that we're switching on, right? And so I was showing them, well, you can either add 1 to that, and then if it's greater than, whatever the highest number is, you set it equal to 0 again, or you can use mod. I was introducing the concept of mod. I think my class is going really well. But anyways, introducing the concept of mod, which is the modulus operator is the percent sign, right?
Yeah, and I feel like that was something that I learned in grade school, but it was like radical. They were teaching us different base number systems.
Yeah, and then remainder, whatever.
Remainders.
Like, so, div and rem.
And I always remember there being some sort of, I think even my parents, who were smart people, were just like, that's really strange that you're having to learn how to, write a number in base 10. Base 8 or something.
Oh, I never,
even though they would,
would
have known about computers. So maybe they didn't, but it was like, it definitely seemed like later on it was like, oh, this is why I learned this in grade school. But I'm trying to understand, was that really just because they were trying to turn everyone into computer programmers, or it was some other reason? That was the first time they did new math and people got mad.
Oh. Well, anyway, I did that. I was showing the mod operator. I was like, who knows what this is? And like one kid raised their hand. And so I got to say, well, it's, it's just counts up. Like if I did, x plus 1 mod 4, then it'll go 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, because you did mod 4. So that's all you have to remember and stuff like that. So I had x plus 1. And then I thought, oh, why don't I just write x plus plus? And you can't.
Yeah, so I'm looking up new math. New math included set theory, modular arithmetic, algebraic inequalities, bases other than 10, matrices, symbolic logic, Boolean algebra, and abstract algebra.
I didn't like matrices. Well, what did they teach you before? Like plussing?
Just how to add and multiply and stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
And then they taught wow. Well, we did. Oh, and so your parents were like, "Why are they teaching you this?" I never shared my homework with my parents ever.
No, no, there was just a cultural upheaval about the new math, and people didn't like it.
Well, anyway, so look, so you can't do x plus 1. You can't change that to x plus plus in this case. You have to use plus plus x. And do you know about plus plus X and not X plus plus?
I have a vague memory of
Yeah,
that.
I know. I did too. I was like, oh, you have to use plus plus X. And I got really excited. And I was like, oh. And then I was like, oh, shit, I'm going to have to explain that. You know how something comes out of your brain and you're like, oh, shit, I have to explain this now. And then I was like, I'm sorry, I'm really nerding out, but I'm so excited that this is the answer to this. And then I was like, oh, it's March 1st. The Mandalorian comes out today. But then I talked about hacking and
Squirrel.
stuff too. Actually, this is, and so I did have a great moment in my class. Okay, so this is a computer programming class for people who've never programmed before, and there's a couple of people who did, right? So there's a loop that loops around 60 times a second in this environment that we're programming in, right? It just loops and loops and loops and loops. So if you put anything in there that takes up processing time, it's a problem. And there's a command that spawns a song. And if you put that in the loop, it sounds like you're listening to My Bloody Valentine. It's like,
Yeah, it just
because it
triggers
spawns
it over.
60
Oh,
times. It spawns 60 times a second. It spawns a song. And people don't seem to get that. Like, why does it sound like that? I don't get it. It's like, no, because you can't put that inside the loop. You have to put it in some code that doesn't loop, here, and I'll show you how to do that. So I've gone through, I've shown them a couple of times this year, because in class I change it each year. I change it around a little bit. So anyway, this last day, I showed them there's a save canvas command. And if you run that command, what it does is it saves the picture of your computer to your hard drive. So I go watch, and I put it in the part where if you click the mouse, you see a little file drop into, how when you download something, you see a file drop on your bottom left-hand corner. Dunk. And I go, look at that. See, if I click again, dunk, it happens again. And they're like, oh. And I go, now, what if I put that command inside here and where the loop is? And good fourth of them go, oh. And then they start laughing. I'm like, you guys would not have laughed at that 8 weeks ago. So I'm really, oh, you learned a little bit of computer programming. I got really excited. And The Mandalorian was out that day. So I had a really good week.
All right. Well.
And Conan says Little 12 Toes, my first experience with non-base 10.
Yeah, Little 12. Yeah.
What the hell is that?
That's a Schoolhouse Rock thing.
Oh. Thanks for listening.